Hello world! This is a writing vlog. I'm attempting NaNoWriMo this year, this glorious year of our Lord 2020. Been kicking around my novel since December 2018, but 2020 presents optimal conditions for completing it, and Nano seems like the perfect way to cap it all off. A bit of preamble. You might well wonder whether an internet rando such as myself has anything useful to tell you on this or any other subject, and I acknowledge your concern. But YouTube has been a source of inspiration, seeming wisdom, and a few good laughs to me, and I want to give back to that conversation my own way, however meager. The YouTubers I found most useful are often not the biggest and most popular, so if my earnest takes on my experiences helps or amuse even one of you, it was worth it. Now, to Nano, and I'll walk you through a few slides on how it's going so far. For anyone unfamiliar, NaNoWriMo, or National Novel Writing Month, is an internet-based challenge to write 50,000 words during the month of November towards the draft of a novel. I came in with my novel most of the way there, but I needed another push to get me over the top. I've gotten off to a slow start in terms of word count, but I think my comeback is starting to gather some steam, and I'll walk you through the numbers in a minute. This wouldn't have been possible for me in previous years, but work from home and maybe a little bit more self-discipline really enabled me to make much more progress this month and in October and during the rest of this year than I had been able to during most of the time that my project was percolating around in my brain. It's far too early to declare victory. My novel's not done. My first draft's not done. I haven't met the NaNoWriMo quota yet. And certainly it's nowhere close to being in a state where any of you are going to see it. But I'll catch up with you in 2 weeks, and you'll see how I am doing and whether I managed to complete the challenge. First, let me tell you a little bit about the novel I'm actually trying to write this month. Let's call it Project T for the first initial of my protagonist. It's a science fiction novel, and I think it'll clock in around 135,000 words when I finish. Perhaps a bit on the long side. It's my first novel, ever, so it's probably pretty bad. The premise is that T grew up aspiring to pass the essay, an important test of ability that determines one's rank in society, and she failed. Her failure drives her to join an armed rebellion against her government, but the rebellion was going nowhere until, one day, a mysterious plane crash delivers the government's most important ally straight into her hands. I could go on a long time about Project T, but it's better to save that for another video. This one is about the NaNoWriMo process, so let's go there next. The goal of NaNoWriMo is to write 50,000 words in November. So, when thinking about how that contributes to finishing my novel, it's helpful to first look at what I was starting with. Going into November, I had an outline which was divided into 5 parts. Parts 1 through 3 were fully drafted. Part 4 was almost fully drafted, and Part 5 I had not yet started. In total, I had about 111,000 words in my existing draft. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I started this project in December 2018. That's a long time ago. Yikes. So, my progress since then was pretty erratic. I only had 57,000 words by April 2020, between going entire weeks or multiple weeks at a time without touching the draft at all, just because of other life commitments and insufficient focus, and then maybe a weekend here or there where I actually made some real progress. Since 50,000 words in April 2020, I've gotten up to 111,000 words by the end of this October. And I would attribute that mostly to work from home giving me more free time and fewer alternative outlets. So, putting this in the context of NaNoWriMo, I can finish my full first draft with another 25,000 words. So that has to be part of the goal. The rest of the other 25,000 words I need to finish the NaNoWriMo challenge can come from rewriting part 2, which I think is quite weak and not really internally consistent with the rest of my story as currently drafted. So that has to be done anyway eventually. The benefit of NaNoWriMo is that it forms a consistent writing habit, hopefully. It gives me impetus and momentum to complete work. And the disadvantage is really just that it's going to cause me to obsess over my book a lot for 30 days or more. I got off to a relatively slow start. I had a good first day, but after that, things really stalled. During early November. It's almost as if there were distracting things happening in the world, but that's really no excuse. So on day 11, I realized that I was massively below par, and I decided I had to make a comeback. So looking at the chart on the right-hand side, you can see that we plateaued in early November, and we actually are converging back towards the par line. That is the daily word count that allows you to achieve 50,000 words in November. And we've almost converged back as of November 16th. So I went from averaging less than 1,000 words a day over the first 10 days to averaging 2.2 thousand over days 11 through 16. That really comes through increased personal discipline, expanding my writing time from just the mornings. I'm a morning person to any free part of the day, including later at night. And I'm about 22,000 words into the project, well, into the nano portion of the project as of yesterday evening. 22,000 words in November puts me 4.4 thousand below cumulative par. So I need to do that much to catch up and then write the 1,600 every day that's necessary to complete the project. So that means I need to write about 2,000 words a day to hit the target for November. And since I'm going to have to take a break to re-outline part 2, to rethink what I want to draft in part 2, I won't be working from my outline then. I'll probably need a day off just to do some outlining, which will dilute the impact of my writing days a bit more. So here's my game plan right now. And I will check in with you at the end of the month, and you'll see whether or not I've managed to accomplish it. Step 1 is not to measure against par, even though that's what I've been talking about for the past 2 minutes. It's to maximize words per day, every day. Don't write quota and then give up, because a day will come when I don't have time to make quota. And if I'm not exceeding quota on the days when I have the time, then I will be barely scraping by at best. As I said, my old method was to write in the mornings. I have to write at night too. And as an extension of that, I think that if I go to bed without exceeding par and sleep for more than 4 hours, then that's proof that I don't really want it. So that shouldn't be happening. I think there are a few key enablers that are letting me participate in NaNoWriMo this year, although I knew about it but didn't participate last year, and are hopefully going to let me get this to the finish line. The first is free usable time. Work from home has freed up at least 3 hours of my day. That's coming out of commuting, that's coming out of late night FaceTime at the office, and it's coming out of midday downtime when maybe I'd be idle in between projects at work. Otherwise, I would have had to eliminate weekend social activities to find the time for Nano. And even then, that probably wouldn't be enough, because there's only so much you can do on one day before burning out. If you can spread out your work across the week, you're going to be much more effective, or at least I am. Another key enabler was preparation. I had most of my first draft already done going into this month, and I knew what I had to do to finish. I think this is achievable in any year, though, by planning ahead in October or sooner. Finally, motivation. I think I just wanted it more this year, or I think I do. Wanting to finish isn't enough, but there is a minimum necessary threshold of concentrated effort it takes to actually do a project of this scale. So I think I have it, and on the 30th, you will find out whether I really do or not. So that's my nano journey so far. I'll check in with you soon on how the rest of it goes. But let's close today with a few inspirational quotes. Thucydides said, "My work is not a piece of writing designed to meet the taste of an immediate public, but was done to last forever." Well, I think that's quite suitable to my case, because my work was not really designed to meet the taste of anyone, and it was certainly taking forever. Hopefully Nano will change that, though. And as a counterpoint to Thucydides, Shelley tells us that some guy named Ozymandias was very proud of all his works, and they seem to have come to nothing. That might be the fate of the mightiest pharaoh, and it is probably the fate of the meagerest YouTuber cum author, but who knows what the future will hold.